How many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, hell yes, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15. Hell yes, your AK-47. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15.
Oh, hell no!
Hell yes, we're not going to allow it to be used against our fellow Americans anymore.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is time for the monologue and the Prepared Mind Insiders. That's right, folks. It is your chance. I'll make you famous. No, you'll make yourself famous by being a part of the inner circle. And how do you do that? Well, you join and sign up at thepreparedmind.club as a premium member or subscribestar.com. Go to the Prepared Mind there and sign up. And either way, it's $2. That's it. And you can join us Monday through Friday as an inner circle member and it doesn't cost anything more than $2 every day in, day out. We're right here talking about exactly what's going on. And I thought, how do I start off today's show? Do I go with the international stuff? Do I go with the national crap? Or do I go with a good taunting? And so a good taunting it is. Now, over the weekend, Trump had his rally in Waco, Texas, also known as Waco, Texas. And I found one little part of it particularly interesting. 2 black women wearing Black Lives MAGA, which is a play on Black Lives Matter. It's Black Lives Make America Great Again. These 2 women were wearing those shirts, and they attended the Trump rally in Waco, and they had this to say. And there's a video out there that's captured what they said, and it's well produced. It is chiding idiot Democrats and encouraging intelligent blacks and other persons of color to leave the Democrat socialist plantation. Leave the plantation and be free. And I thought it was great. Hell, I think even white people could benefit from listening to this. Quote, and this is these 2 black women, they were just laying it on. We know that you are out there. Maybe you're afraid to show your support for America, for God, and for Donald Trump and this country. Come on out. It's okay. Come on out to the right side. If you like high gas prices, if you like killing babies, if you don't know whether you're a man, a woman, a child, a unicorn, a frog, if you don't know what you are or anything like that, if you think giving all your hard-earned money to a different country is what you like, this ain't the party for you. And guess what? If you keep voting left, you'll have nothing left. And I thought that was hilarious. Folks, there's an incredible number of intelligent, critical thinking human beings that have a tan, right? But the media portrays them as not. Remember when Joe Biden said something like, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. Remember that shit? Talk about patronizing. Talk about pigeonholing people based on their race. Good God, idiots. But folks, idiots are out there everywhere. And it's not just an American issue, idiots. I'll use an international example of this. The Muslim Humza Yousaf complained about there being too many whites in the Scottish government. That's right, over in Scotland, where they make fine water. He complained that there were too many whites in the Scottish government. Well, guess what? He won the election to be Scotland's next leader, their next prime minister type guy. These fucking idiot Scots. What happened to you, my cousins? They used to be strong Celts. Now they're a bunch of virtue signaling morons on the socialist side of Scotland. And it just goes to show you, folks, how much the socialists pander to the weak-minded and the lazy and the stupid so that they can get their votes. They buy votes with socialism. Unbelievable. And I like what the two ladies had to say. If you keep voting left, you'll have nothing left. Succinct, to the point. Very, very fascinating. Now, what else? Let's. What do you want to talk about? Oh man, do we have some questions yet? And I don't want to do the questions yet. I just want to know, or do we have a decent amount of questions on different subjects, or are people really focusing on just one? Because there are several big things today. Several. Okay, interesting, very interesting. Thanks, you, man. Okay, well, hang on to keep your powder dry there, man. I'm gonna do a couple more little things here, and then we're gonna get to the big enchilada that you're holding. Oh, by the way, yeah, while we're international, Italy has decided to ban insect flour from its pasta and pizza. Would you have dared even two years ago, and certainly before Cerveza bug, would anyone have ever considered insects being an ingredient in pasta, in meat, in food in general? Who the fuck would have ever thought, let's grind up some bugs into meal? They're using the word meal now, which just means ground up shit. Now, Italy has banned it, but let me read you a quote from the agricultural minister, and his name is Francesco Lollobrigida. And I actually think I pronounced that, or at least I got all the right letters in there. Anyways, he says about Italian production of pastas and pizza. It's fundamental that these flours are not confused with food made in Italy. What the decree provides for is a label with the origin of the product, the risks associated with consumption, and the quantity of insect meal present. But we have also provided special shelves where they can be displayed inside the shops. Those who want to choose crickets, larvae, and locusts can go there. And those who don't want to, as I imagine most Italians, can keep away. I'm gonna ask this, right? So Italy can sell bug pasta and bug pizza, and it's made in other nations and then imported into Italy, and they'll have different shelves for that, and food made in Italy won't have that. How about just an outright fucking ban on bugs in your food, period? An outright banning would be best, instead of, well, what if there's an Italian pasta shortage? There's not enough flour being imported, and all they can buy is filthy, insect-ridden food that's imported. Good question, huh? Imagine if that's all there is. Kind of like when the meat section sells out at your local butcher's counter, all the chicken's gone, all the turkey's gone, all the beef is gone, all the pork is gone. And all that's left is a completely fully stocked aisle of substitute fake plant meat that no one still wants to buy, even when everything else is cleared out. They think people are you think they're gonna warm up to eating bugs? Bug meal, delicious, yeah. I like it in my pasta. I like it when I bite into a crunchy insect head, or my tongue gets jabbed with an insect leg that has those little barbs on it. Ooh, that's right. Some of the noisiest animals on the planet are fucking crickets. It's because they rub their legs back and forth like a fucking violin and a bow. Ree, 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 ree. I like crickets. I don't think so. But why not just outright ban it altogether? It is not food. It is bugs. Fucking bugs. Okay. Calm down, John. It's just our lives, our families, our fortunes, our fucking decency. Unbelievable. And this crap about decency. The Democrats are not decent in any form or fashion, in any fucking way possible. Pardon my poor choice of language to describe these. Or is it the appropriate language to describe these filthy scumbags, the Democrats, who are social fascists and some are social communists, but they're all socialists. Now get this. I want you to follow the hypocrisy and understand that what is going on is strictly political. Has nothing to do with crime, has everything to do with destroying America. Democrats are destroying America. Rhino Republicans are destroying America. So Democrats say prosecuting crime doesn't work. Robbery, theft, they don't want to prosecute that, do they? Assault, how many Antifa members assaulted police, assaulted private citizens, and were never arrested? Robbery, theft, assault, arson, how many people set fire to shit during the 2020 BLM Antifa riots and weren't arrested and weren't prosecuted and weren't sent to jail? Even murder is ignored and also justified as a non-crime by these socio-fascist Democrats. Well, they're just upset and that person was white, because they're bad. So examples of these people that they allow to get away with crimes, folks: homeless people, drug addicts, gang members, Black Lives Matter members, and Antifa communists. But if you are a Republican and you support Trump, or someone suspects you support Trump, and especially if you're white, then without committing a single crime, folks, they want you to be beaten on sight with a bat, assaulted on sight. They want you sent to re-education camps, concentration death camps, and you haven't committed a single crime. You're just a Republican. You may or may not be a Trump supporter. All they have to do is look at you and not like you. No crime needed. And they want you prosecuted, folks. No, not even a fucking trial. No crime, no trial, just send you to the death camps. So who are the hate-filled, anti-American, thuggy, fascist scum? Just a quick reminder. Just a quick reminder about who these people are and what they want. Unbelievable. Literally unfreaking believable. They're continuing to push for nuclear war, folks. There's another one. It just came up again today. It just did. It just did. The Biden military regime at the National Archives, after saying that, well, Belarus, if Putin wants to put nuclear weapons in Belarus, we can't have that. It's too dangerous, even though NATO wants to put NATO bases and nukes wherever the fuck they want all over the world. Well, the National Archives under the Biden administration, the National Archives bureaucracy, folks, just declassified footage of B-52 bombers dropping nuclear bombs. How is this a good idea? Why would they do this at the same time that Russia has announced it was positioning nuclear weapons in Belarus? They're pushing for it. Are you prepared? Do you have potassium iodide tablets? Get them at Amazon. Potassium iodide. Iodide. I-O-D-I-D-E. Iodide. Not iodine, iodide. That's what you take to protect your body and your thyroid in particular from radioactive fallout. That's how you prepare for that on top of all the other preps you would do. So yeah, we've got a lot of problems, folks, a lot of issues. So let's do this. I want to see what Uman has. What do you got there, Uman? What's your topic of the day? School shooting in Tennessee earlier today. The shooter was a 28-year-old woman, well, no longer with us. No further information released. So take a wild guess. I'm going to take a wild guess. I bet this person We don't know. Well, they call it a woman. Was it really a woman? Or is it a man transitioning to a woman who has some anger issues and some violence issues that apparently transitioning didn't fix? Just taking a wild guess here. I'm not saying that the person who did all this murdering was a man transitioning to a woman, but it could be. We're not allowed to know anymore. Yep, you can have breasts and a vagina and call yourself a man, and you can be a man with a penis and call yourself a woman. Yeah, most of the shooters that come out, I would say just about all of them are typically men. Women are a little more creative in their murdering techniques. They don't tend to do mass murders. In fact, being a mass murderer is kind of a rarity already. So, interesting. I have this question to ask. Identity politics. Identity politics. What does that mean? Well, you see, if the shooter had been a white male Republican, the Democrats would go right to the microphones, right to the cameras, boop, 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 flashbulb. Tell us about the shooter. He's a white male Republican Trump supporter. So all white male Republican Trump supporters are now put in the same category as the mass shooter. Everyone's a terror suspect now, right? That's identity politics. You look at the identity of the person and you just make the assumption that everyone's like that. So are all females now considered terror suspects? Because that's how identity politics works. If it's a woman, so all women are now terror suspects? Well, I'm not just making this shit up. Remember, folks, if you're a parent and you go to a school board meeting and say you don't want your kids being taught critical race theory, queer theory, right? Whatever theory they're throwing at them that is anti-American and, then you are now on a terror watch list. That's right. The Federal Bureau of Investigation put parents, American parents, American tax-paying parents, they list them as terror suspects. That's identity politics. That's politicizing law enforcement. That's what they do. So now we have a killer who's now, by the way, dead. Was it a man? Was it a woman? Was it someone transitioning from a man to a woman and claiming to be a woman? And what color was the hair? Maybe that will help us identify the political belief system that this person operated under. It's supposed to be a 28-year-old woman who went to the school at one time. It's an elementary school. It's an elementary Christian school. Interesting, huh? Interesting. Very interesting. Now, see if I got this one here. I got several notes on this particular topic that man wanted to bring up. Now, there's another report that came out. The elementary Christian school shooter. Is this a hate crime for singling out Christians? Why would a conservative go to a Christian school and shoot it up? Well, you see, because they hate Christians and they learned how bad Christians are and they need to be shot. Now, anyways, they said that the shooter, quote, appears to be a teen. That's kind of interesting, don't you think? To say that a 28-year-old female appears to be a teen. We're now up to, what, 7 confirmed dead, including the shooter. So 6 victims of this idiot. And then, folks, here is the big enchilada. The police reveal the type of weapons the shooter carried inside the school. Is it a shooter or a mass murderer? Again, words. But, folks, we need to read their words carefully. They say that the guns, the weapons carried were assault type weapons and a handgun. We have to read their words carefully. Government lies, government exaggerates, government misleads, and government violates honesty standards as a regular practice. For the government, lying, exaggerating, misleading, and being dishonest is part of their standard operating procedures. They are deceiving, misleading. You know how I get in trouble if I mislead the public over medical issues. Woo, bad, John, bad. And how dare you pick on the protected class of idiots out there? It used to be that they were considered mental health victims, and so yeah, they're incompetent idiots. But now they're supposed to be accepted as normal. So why are they protected if they're so fucking normal? Anyways, I digress. Assault type or assault style weapons. Are they assault weapons or not? That's what I want to know. Don't say that they're assault style or assault type. That's dishonest. That's an exaggeration. That's a lie. You could say that one of the weapons was an assault type. Does that mean it was an airsoft based on a AR-15 platform, but it was really, an assault type toy? I mean, what are they actually saying? Now, I know that people have been killed, and it's awful. People died as a result of this wacko lunatic asshole's actions. So Karine Jean-Pierre came out and started talking about gun control. She is, folks, for lack of a better word, a complete moron. Now, and then Joe Biden, after this left-wing socialist fruitcake moron, and I don't think I'm stretching the facts to call this person that, mass murderer, Joe Biden himself came out of his cave, saw his shadow, and decided to talk to the reporters. And instead of addressing the Nashville shooting incident, he began the event by talking about Jenny's ice cream. And he said, quote, "I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream." Folks, he is a heartless and selfish asshole. He didn't have to come out and say anything. He could have just not come out and let Karine Jean-Pierre be the idiot of the day. Instead, he comes down and says, "I came down," this is to the press room, "because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream." He didn't come down because there was a tragedy caused by another left-wing, radical, murderous piece of shit. Are you prepared, folks, for when it happens in your neighborhood? The Democrats love this. They are running right to the microphones demanding gun control, which is a violation of the Constitution. You cannot violate the Constitution, no matter how emotionally invested you are in changing it. The Constitution is law. The Constitution reflects our law. Assault type, assault styled weapons. Vagueness breeds stupidity. Fucking Kaz. The Italian hillbilly who is secretly Kaz says the fork type thingy made me fat. The fork styled metal thing made me fat, right? The spoon shaped, the spoon type shaped thing, yeah. Put the ice cream in my mouth. The pencil made me fail because the lead, I don't know. I mean, what are they? Everything is not their fault. Nothing is their fault. Now, yeah, Karine Jean-Pierre, while we're on that idiot, decided to talk about the shooting. And she says, quote, "How many children have to be murdered before Republicans in Congress pass the assault weapons ban?" You see, they need the Republicans, folks, to screw us over. This is why controlling our party is so important. This is why we need to get those rhino pieces of shit out of there. Because if they could convince America that, yeah, we need to get rid of these things, then they would love to vote for it. Republican rhinos would switch their vote to anti-gun the moment they think they could get away with it and continue to be elected in that seat. But the Second Amendment is a litmus test for Republicans, rhino or not, to get elected. You say you're against the Second Amendment and you want to confiscate weapons, it doesn't matter anything else. Whether you're a Republican and have been one your whole life, you're gone. That is the litmus test. And thank God Americans are paying attention to that. How many children have to be murdered? Okay, let's stop right there. Folks, they're destroying this country. They're going after children. They're sexualizing them. And they're telling children, mutilate your genitals. Cut your tits off. Cut your testicles off. Turn your vagina into a penis. Turn your penis into a vagina. Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask a question direct to Karine Jean-Pierre, the non-American idiot. How many children have to be murdered by the Jim Jones juice before the Republicans in Congress impeach Biden? I think that's a better question to ask. Many more children, folks, have been killed by the Jim Jones juice than people have been killed by assault weapons and mass murders this year. Prove me wrong. Someone fact check me, please. I want you to get all the numbers of children who have been killed, injured, and adversely affected in one fashion or another by the Jim Jones juice, and compare that number to children who have been killed and injured by assault weapons at school shootings. Let me see the fucking numbers. Am I wrong? Ooh, man, am I wrong? If it's about saving the children, then let's stop killing the fucking children. If it's about protecting the children, then let's protect them from drag queen freaks who are sexualizing them, grooming them, and convincing them they need to cut their genitals off. They're destroying America, folks, right in front of us, in front of our faces, rubbing our noses in it as if we can't do anything about it. And the moment they get a drag queen show canceled, well, I'm going to file a federal lawsuit against that. Everyone wants to see these freaks on parade. No, the fuck we don't. I don't want to see them. If I saw them in a bad dream, I would be just absolutely disgusted. They're everywhere now. It's not that they're everywhere. It's just the media parades them as such. Oh, they're freaks. They definitely are. Now, well, we're coming up on the end. Coming up on the end of my discussion, and we're going to get to the point where it's your turn. Get your questions in, your comments, your thoughts. Folks, you can repeat what I've said, the topic, with your angle, your take, your observation. It can be this big or it can be this big. Whatever it is you're thinking, it's your thoughts. Share them with the rest of the world. This is your chance. And when you speak up, you help others. This isn't just a show about my opinion and what I think. This is about us having the prepared mind. I may have a perspective that's shared by urban people or suburban people or rural people, right? Everyone needs to hear these different perspectives so they can decide for themselves what works best. Now, before we switch to your side of the questioning, before we get there, in North Dakota, guess what? Another train derailment. 70 cars, toxic hazardous materials, folks, spilling. Well, fortunately, they didn't mix together and create a toxic fire and inferno. At least we didn't have that this time. But and we are told, though, there's over 1,000 derailments a year, meaning there's like 3 to 4 a day. Train derailments. So are we just paying more attention? I still think that train derailments typically happen at lower speeds and probably in and around switch yards where there's a lot of switches. But why is it we're getting such nasty spills? I mean, wouldn't you think that if train derailments were so frequent, we would see more of them? And that we would see, well, that they would create containers, shipping containers by rail that are better protected, double, triple wall lined, so that if they do derail, they don't spill their contents everywhere. You know, safety features, right? But here's what gets me is repetition requires us to have a modicum of suspicion and skepticism about the claim that there's 1,000 derailments a year. And this is very common. Really? Right? This is really that common? Well, that's what they said, statistically speaking. I just think there's something suspicious here, something fishy, if you will. All right, well, let's stop right there. I'm going to do this. Let's go over to you guys, the inner circle, the prepared mind, Q&A time. Your turn. Folks, I got to say this. Your support is critical on this channel. It's critical. Without you guys, the show doesn't exist. You know, Sunday Night Live, without the funding we get there, the show can't exist. You guys watching commercials on YouTube, that pays the bills. You guys here that have joined the premium side on the preparedmind.club and subscribestar.com, your subscription fee keeps this channel going. It's also evidence that the content has value. It has value. I think it's different than other channels that just want to read to you the news headlines. I want to give you some unique perspectives and takes on things. And so I think that's really where this channel's value lies. And not just covering the news and not just giving you a bunch of fear porn, panic-based crap. You know, anyways, that's just what I do. And it appeals to, I guess, approximately 80,000 people who want to stay subscribed. And the few people that, you know, in the hundreds or the thousands that want to pay premium fees. And that's great. We have to have that. Have to have that. And me personally, I want my mission, right, to succeed. And my mission is to inform people and provide content that helps people wake the hell up and then inspires and motivates them to get prepared for what is coming next. And man, oh man, is there some nasty coming next. And so, oh, don't you do it, stupid computer. I'm telling you, they make these things to try and throw away my content. Anyways, before I get to you guys, one last thing. Being smart or paranoid? Being a sheep or being a prepper? The president of Kenya, his name is Ruto, he has told his people who have US dollars in Kenya, right, and it's an African nation, to get rid of them, right? He says, quote, "This market is going to be different in a couple of weeks." Is he paranoid or is he smart? He's not a social media influencer or satire host. He is the president of Kenya. And he's telling his people, this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks. And they better get rid of their US dollars if they know what's good for them. Is he paranoid or is he smart and seeing the writing on the wall about the banking system? I don't know. We'll find out. Ooh, man, who do we want to put up next on the inner circle? And it is Blue Cord Devil. And he says, and yet another train derailment, this time in North Dakota. They say letting the cold weather congeal the toxic chemicals before cleaning it up. Whoa, we're going to rely on cold weather? I thought we had global warming. Oh, no. If it's too cold or too hot for anyone's flavor and taste, then, oh, that must be climate change. Yeah, letting the cold weather congeal the toxic chemicals. How about if they get out there and clean that shit up pronto? I mean, I know that if it's cold weather, meaning frozen, it takes about 5 fucking minutes to turn anything into ice in a place like North Dakota. And yeah, let's leave it out so that we can risk it not being cold enough, or maybe other chemicals mixing with it. It's incredible to me, folks, how these people act. And again, train derailments. Why are they happening with such dangerous and destructive consequences? You know what I think? I'm going to throw this theory out for you. We've had transportation difficulties since the outbreak of cerveza bug. From shipping giant cargo ships steaming across the seas and the oceans, from China and Indonesia, from other countries in the Middle East bringing oil here and there, right? Shipping lanes. Well, they had problems with that. All of a sudden, the unions couldn't figure out how to unload ships, cargo ships, at ports and get those containers on trucks and on trains and around the country. We've had a huge trucking crisis over the price of diesel, the availability of diesel. And folks, the other big mover of merchandise, raw materials, food, everything around the country is rail. Massive cargo ships, trucking lines, and trains. Should Biden shut down the transnational, and I'm using the word trans there, not in the gay sense, not in the queer sense, but, across America. Should Biden shut down the across the America rail system and cripple our economy further, bringing us more inflation? Would that suit his agenda? Oh, you have to live with what's made in your local area. No longer can you have something that has to be transported via train across the country. Too dangerous, too dangerous. Oh, and oil and gas pipeline, same story. Too dangerous, too dangerous. And electricity, too dangerous. You have to have your electricity locally generated with solar and wind. That sounds a lot like this Green New Deal bullshit. What do they call it? Sustainable energy, sustainable food. They love that word sustainable. And of course, to tax anything. Right, so you need local wind, you need local food, bugs, right? Are they going to take out our train system? Because, we're having too many derailments, right? Be careful what you wish for, folks. You want the train tracks fixed and made safe? Well, I do too. Isn't money being spent on that already? Aren't we already taxed for that? Don't shipping fees or training fees, don't those transportation fees include rail maintenance? Oh, you bet. But it's kind of like our fuel tax is supposed to fix the roads and highways. You've been driving around lately, whether, folks, it's California or the South, I run into some of the shittiest roads, and I'm like, what are we paying the massive fucking taxes for? Right? I don't know. All right, man, let's move on. That was a great topic by Blue Cord Devil. And now we've got the Italian hillbilly. It's Kaz. He says, breaking. The deceased mass shooter of the Christian school in Nashville has been identified as a trans person. Dun, dun, dun. The prepared mind guessed it. By the way, we were speculating earlier today, the R Syndicate. Also, you can find the R Syndicate at thersyndicate.com. Let's go back to the Italian hillbilly. I'm not done with that, man. Get that back. Yep, the rsyndicate.com is another website that will help you understand what the hell is going on in the world and help you get fully prepped. Because there's more than just the prepared mind on the rsyndicate.com. There's all things prepping, from food to water, right, to clothing, right, like Alpha Charlie Concepts. Alpha Charlie Concepts is another YouTuber. And John there does clothing Prepper clothing, Patriot clothing. He also does weapons. You can find out all kinds of stuff. Weapons, canning food, all kinds of shit at thearsyndicate.com. Now, so Italian Hillbilly says the shooter is a trans person who calls itself Audrey E. Hale. Three children and 3 staff were murdered. Wow. Let us move on now. The shooting comes amid a surge in far left death threats in Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, over the state has banned medical transitioning of minors. The man, formerly known as a man, who now claims to be a woman and who is also dead, named Hale, that art page featured LGBTQ themed work. They went in and I'm sure they scrubbed, removed, erased, bleach, bitted, washed, cleaned as much of that shit out of there as they could on social media pages, but it's out. The person is a transitioning left-wing freak who's so pissed that children aren't being allowed to be groomed and transitioned that he's going to go shoot up. I mean, thing is going to go shoot up a Christian school. So punishing Christian children for their belief system. Now, I want to stop here. And I really want to think about this with you. Folks, they hate you. They fucking hate you. And they want to kill you. What have you ever said, honestly believed, and said to yourself, you know, I've had it with these people that I disagree with politically. I disagree with them so badly that I'm willing to go out and kill completely innocent, unknowing, unprepared strangers. I'm going to go on a murder spree because I'm so upset that my political belief system is not popular. If their belief system was popular, there wouldn't be these laws being passed. These laws are having to be passed to protect children from grooming predators of the LGBTQ world, including drag queens and pink, green, orange, red, blue, or yellow-haired fruitcake teachers. There's been a problem since I was a kid with teachers taking advantage sexually of children. It's always been a problem, folks. But now they have tried legitimizing it. They've tried legitimizing it, making it okay. It's not okay. Right? If you think that it should be okay, then you need to get some help. Right? Why didn't Hale, the transitioning male to female fruitcake, why didn't this person just kill themselves? Why must they kill others? Because they're not getting their way. So this wasn't an attempt to make guns look bad. This was an attempt to punish Christians. This was an attempt to punish moral, decent people who reject these evil, evil, evil ideas. This person, Hale, their body and their mind and probably their soul is so polluted with filthy ideas that they found it a reasonably good idea to go kill others. They want to transition children and give children the opportunity for them to groom them and convince them to mutilate their bodies. And Hale is an example of someone who has mutilated their body to some degree, whether it's with transitioning drugs or drugs and surgery. How does that help their little brains? Unbelievable. Pushing us towards a bigger and nastier SHTF situation. That's what this is. They want to take this difference between people who are out of their fucking minds, leftist, loser, crazy socialist bastards, and right-minded, decent, moral, tax-paying, hardworking Americans. And they want to make that chasm greater. Well, guess what? Fruitcakes on the left. People on the right, we know who you are. People on the right have concealed weapons permits. People on the right do open carry. When I was in Georgia, I kind of enjoyed watching a man open carry. In fact, my son went over and talked to him. He's like, hey, what you got there? And asked him about his gun, and they had a great little discussion. Everyone felt nice and happy in that restaurant. I didn't feel threatened a bit, folks. I rather enjoyed drinking my beverage, knowing that there was a civilian armed to the fucking teeth with open carry. Didn't bother me a bit. So Italian Hillbilly continues. I'm sorry, sorry there, Kaz, interrupting your work like that. He says, this was an anti-Christian hate crime motivated by radical left gender ideology. Brilliantly said. Let me repeat Kaz, the Italian Hillbilly's thoughts. He says, this was, and he's referring to the fruitcake transgender murderer, that action that was taken when he murdered 3 children and 3 adults at a Christian school in Nashville. He says this was an anti-Christian hate crime motivated by radical left gender ideology. It was motivated by radical left gender ideology. Motivated, empowered, justified. This person justified taking these actions. They said, this is a good thing to do. Murdering people based on a different belief system. Right? And I understand the use of the word hate that the Italian Hillbilly uses here. Everything is a hate crime. I don't know. I guess maybe a hate crime or a non-hate crime is one where you're like, well, I'm just really hungry, so I robbed the person. Had nothing to do with hate. Well, I don't give a shit if you hate someone or not. Murder is murder. In fact, I would rather have someone try and murder me out of hate rather than they just felt like it was the thing to do and they didn't really have a good reason to do it. I'd rather the person that tries murdering me have a damn good reason to do so. Fucking people, right? It was an anti-Christian crime, folks. The person who did it was full of hate. Their motivation was to punish people that disagree with their fruitcake ideology, which is socialist, far left socialist crap, as well as now these gender bender fools, folks, they hate themselves. They hate themselves. That's why they're transitioning. They've been taught to hate men so much. There's far more men transitioning to women than women who want to be men. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Because men are told to hate themselves. Men are idiots. They're thoughtless. They're heartless. They're not nurturing. We should all want to be very emotional, heartfelt, nurturing people like our mommies. So these fools are conditioned to hate themselves and want to be like their mommy. So go cut your nuts off and take puberty blockers. Now, Uman says, won't even take 72 hours for this story to drop out of the headlines. Why does he say that? Well, because he's Uman and he makes very keen observations. Now, let me bolster that. Holy shit, we got a lot of questions to go. Let me bolster that by saying why. Because this killer doesn't meet what the, shall we say, the Washington types want. It is not a male, it's a tranny. Ooh, they don't want to talk about that. It wasn't a right-wing person. Oh, these mass shooters never are, right? So they're going to lose the whole school shooting assault rifle narrative because this person is a radical left-wing fruitcake, a gender-bending fruitcake. And they don't want them presented to the world as violent out of their fucking minds. Such a small percentage of the population, yet they represent this much of the murderous thug types. Okay, let's do this. Let us move on, if we shall, to the next questions. I'm running out of time, and apparently there's a shit pile of comments and questions. So the Italian hillbilly says this: the U.S. announces 2 more bases being built in the Philippines for a total of 700 U.S. bases all over the world. Yes. So here's a question from Mikey G. New reopened Naval Air Force bases in the Philippines. Could this be pre-positioning for the coming war with China? Could have moved the Afghan arsenal there, but that would make sense. Now, let me start with the war coming in China. It's been let out. They've let the cat out of the bag because they're morons that the United States military is planning to fight China. China, like Japan, has got a long way to go to get from China all the way to the United States of America. And so if Chinese warships were bringing troops over to our country to invade, how hard would it be for us to use tactical nukes to sink their shit in the middle of the fucking Pacific Ocean and drop it to the bottom, Chinese military and all? You can't just send shit over the oceans without us seeing it. Don't fucking buy that for a second, folks. They couldn't do it in World War II. They can't do it 90 fucking years later. They can't do it 90 years later. They know where they're at. So is China going to try and take all the Pacific Islands like Japan tried? Well, could be, but pre-positioning for the war. And the same goes, folks. The same goes for the U.S. military. You can't show up with an aircraft carrier group, which they're now trying to say is outdated and obsolete as a military model. Well, it's because China can do the same thing. They can target military convoys with serious, hardcore weapons, including hypersonic missile systems, potentially tipped with tactical nuclear weapons. It's possible. Now, as far as the second part of your question, could have moved the Afghan arsenal there. Well, the Afghan arsenal was a land military arsenal. It was helicopters, which can't fly over the oceans, not very far anyways, and tanks and Humvees and MRAPs. Those are all land-based vehicles. So driving all over the Philippines, I mean, it's a big island. But would you need that much? I mean, I agree with you. I would rather see those vehicles and all that equipment that was left in Afghanistan sent to other military bases so we don't have to continue to pay for more and more and more shit to go to other military bases. But yeah, 600 bases. Surprise if you didn't know. All right, let us move on, Mr. Uwan. Who is up next? We have, okay, Mr. X and Chin Music. Here's Mr. X. He says, John, let us remember that there are single-shot weapons, not full-auto weapons like the media wants to portray to American people. John, do you know why they won't define assault weapons or assault-type weapons or assault-style weapons? As soon as they tell you what they are, they also define what they aren't. That is correct. And by the way, within the statute or statutes regulating and governing weapons, an assault weapon is defined as a fully automatic weapon, which means it auto feeds, and depressing the trigger and holding it produces a multiple round expenditure from the weapon. Unless you have a Class 3 federal firearms license, you cannot own a fully automatic weapon, which is an assault weapon. So they say assault styled or assault type to try and convince people that it is an assault weapon when it's not. But let me tell you who I am more afraid of. I am more afraid of an Army or Marine Corps sniper with a single shot bolt action weapon than I am a left-wing lunatic with a semi-auto or full auto weapon. Much more. Now, interestingly, the semi-automatic variety of sniper weapons are just as accurate now as the bolt style. It used to be a belief system that the bolt was required, single shot bolt, to fully lock everything in and fully chamber around to get the most precise, repetitive action and shot to be accurate. They've demonstrated now that the semi-automatic weapons are just as nasty. Now, I know it's an argumentative point, and I'm not here to have that arguing point, but I would be equally afraid of a sniper, Army or Marine, that has an AR-10 with a 24-inch barrel and an incredible, nasty optic system that they could reach out and touch you at 1,200 yards. Yeah, I'd rather deal with some idiot up close within 100 yards who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing so I can get back at them. But we'll find out how that works, right? I don't quite have the eyesight to hit someone with iron sights at 500 yards anymore. Don't quite have that. So I have to play a different game. And we'll all get to play some kind of game, folks. And a game it is. It truly is. It's not a nice game. It has a very ugly, nasty set of circumstances that have to play out before it's ended. Ooh, man, let's continue if we shall before I babble on to the end. Mr. X says, John, we protect every other infrastructure with armed security. Why not do the same thing with schools? Aha! How dare you bring logic, reason, critical thinking, common sense even into the equation? We're dealing with people who are part of an idiocracy, a mental delusionary state whereby their emotions rule their thoughts, and consequences, real world consequences, do not play into their agenda, right? They don't want to arrest trespassers and thieves because, well, there's just not enough room in jail. So they don't arrest them. And so trespassing and thievery grows exponentially. So bad that cities like Portland are now seeing an exodus of business because they no longer want to be there because of the theft. Right? These people have no business being on property, private or publicly accessed. They have no business being there if they're not going to buy anything. So that's a trespass. And instead they go there, they trespass only to follow it up with thievery. So yeah, we should protect our businesses if we wish with armed security, if a business feels it necessary and is willing to pay for it. Now, a lot of places like, well, gun stores for one, jewelry stores for another, the owners of such establishments typically do carry their own weapon to protect themselves because they are high valued objects. High valued objects. So yeah, they want to protect them, so they have to protect them themselves. They don't have enough money right now. Now schools, folks, already have police. They already have police. They have a different name for them. Some of them, they just call them police, but they have pretty names for them for school. A safety officer, whatever. Yeah, there should be armed security at a school. And that person should be prepared to throw themselves in front of a gunman and protect children, because that's what they're there at a school to do, is to protect the children at all cost and at all risk. If you don't want that job, don't sign up for that job. And there are a lot of people who would love to do that as a job, protect children. And I think they ought to protect children also from sexualizing freaks, like teachers who are grooming the kids and other trans and drag queen type freaks that want to show up at school and shake their booty in front of kids. These people are sick, folks. That's who they are. They're sick, sick people. Sexualizing and murdering children. Oh, and the unborn children as well. They love abortion, by the way. Just a little gentle reminder there. No problem in killing the children at that stage. But Karine Jean-Pierre wants to say, how many more children have to die before we realize what's going on? And, right? Shut up, you fucking liar. You love children being killed. That's why you love abortion. They love abortion. Let us move on, if we shall. Italian Hillbilly says, the Department of Transportation whistleblower has revealed that the Department of Transportation under Pete Buttgagger, who is, by the way, folks, a butt plugger, has allocated resources based on the politics of a state. So blue state versus red state. which means Democrat blue states get funding. Republican red states do not. So it says that the mishandling of the East Palestine disaster was politically motivated. That's right. It was a punishment. The state of Ohio. State of Ohio is where Representative Jim Jordan is from. Isn't it interesting how everything is politicized? Funding, politicized. Whether it's for transportation or education, right? The federal government has threatened the state of Florida. Well, if you don't allow our fruitcake educational sexual agenda to be taught, we're going to take your money away from you. You know what? Fuck the feds and their money and their bullshit. It's all stolen money anyways. Isn't it wrong to receive stolen property? It's illegal to receive stolen property. Well, the government steals property in the form of currency from us through taxation. It's legalized theft. Others accept it and go, oh, gee, look, it's from Uncle Sam. No, it's from everyone else who pays taxes. And we don't pay taxes. We have taxes extorted out of us under threat, aka duress. Anyways, yes, it was politically motivated. Thank you, Kaz, very much. We're over an hour, so do I have anything left to do? Yes, we do. It's Christine B. Hanna. She says, intentional destruction of our land. That's where I'm leaning. I live less than 5 miles away from the largest railroad yard in the country. Well, Christine, knowing that now, it would be interesting if you could go down there and ask at the administration office how many low-speed derailments occur in that railroad yard, as it is the largest in the country. You know, do they occur all the time where it's just slow speed and a train like slips off the tracks because it's going through a switch zone? Or a train car is, you know, bumped too hard by a push, and that's what bumps and knocks it off the train tracks? Is that where most of these accidents occur, is in rail yards? Be interesting. Now let's finish everything up with a little comment that I know is coming from Mr. Chin. And he says, a wise friend told me never to ask a question insider already know the answer to. You're correct, sir. I think it's important to ask questions. I love it. That's where you get your answers, right? Always asking questions. That's how you get the information. He says, a wise friend never told me never ask a question insider already know the answer to. You're correct. Thank you very much. Ask those questions. Sometimes the obvious needs to be stated. If it wasn't, right, like all of a sudden the media wants all these fruitcakes to be accepted as normal. And we sat back and went, what? They're going to allow these people to be called normal again? And no one asked the question, why all of a sudden are fruitcakes to be accepted as normal? Why all of a sudden should we allow drag queens in school? Nobody's supposed to ask a question. No one's supposed to question the authority. No, we need to ask these questions. We all know the answer. That shit is wrong. Destroying America is wrong. Abandoning our military is wrong. Abandoning our equipment is wrong. Stealing people's money and calling it taxes is wrong. We need to question authority, and we need to do it vocally, and we need to do it publicly. And that's what I am trying to encourage here on the Prepared Mind channel. I'm sure there's a lot of communist fucking scumbags out there that do the same thing, and they think it's totally justified. I don't agree with their opinion, and I don't think they can justify it in a true debate. I don't think philosophically they're prepared, and that their answers or their justification don't add up to squat. So instead they resort to what? When they don't get their way, after bullying, whining, pissing, and moaning, then they bring out their guns and start shooting Christian children. That's where we're at, folks. Chance favors the prepared mind. Are you prepared? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. That 10-mile radius around you, folks, whether there's a railroad yard there or a drag queen bar within that 10 miles. Do you know what's in the 10 miles? college campus full of hippie communists? Know what's in your 10-mile radius, folks. Be prepared, because chance favors the prepared mind. God bless America. Stand up for yourselves now before it's too late. Godspeed to you.